I traveled 2 hours and paid $360 for this storage unit. Now let's get it opened and see what's inside. I do apologize, my mics are not working today. And of course there is a massive AC unit that is running 24/7 right outside of the unit. But if mic's not working is my biggest problem of today, it's not that big of a deal. You know what? Speaking of problems, first item we come to is a Jeffrey Toobin book. Not exactly sure if I'm taking law advice from Mr. Toobin. He's got his own problems to worry about, but that is a crazy first item to come across in the unit. But here are a few reasons I purchased this unit. I could see this case in one of the listing pictures. I'll be interested to open that up and see what's inside of there. There's a bag full of what appears to be like tools. There's a nice handsaw right there. We'll take a look at that bag here in a minute. There's a guitar case right there. A couple guitars right there. A nice looking shop vac. There's a number locked briefcase right there that we'll have to try to figure out how to open that up if it's locked. What else we got? It appears to be a nice pellet gun back there. Massive big screen TV and then a smaller one up front. There's a little Funko Pop of, is that Marty McFly, I believe? And then the main reason I purchased this unit was for this mid-size Sentry safe. Thankfully, this time, this one was not previously opened. That being said, I have not had any luck with any safe I've found so far in any unit. Once I get done cleaning out this unit, I'll take this over to my brother-in-law's to get this one cracked open. But you'll want to stay tuned to see if there's anything inside of there. It definitely has something in it. Whoa, talk about back problems. All right, so the first guitar inside of here has a very creepy mask. Is that like the masks from The Purge? Am I the only one that doesn't like horror movies and scary movies? I've just never understood them. This guitar definitely is gonna need some new strings. It's only got 3 on here and they look like they've seen their better days. But this is an infinity guitar. Hopefully that's worth something. I will say it doesn't look crazy high end by any means, but this one looks really cool right here. I will say this stuff looks like it hasn't been touched in years. This one is super nice looking. Very unique. There's like these little holes cut out. But that is a really cool guitar right there. It is an Ovation. I have seen these before. I don't remember how much these are worth, but I don't think these are crazy high end, but if I was guessing, these are probably like $400 to $500 guitars. I got one of the sides to pop open, but the other side I cannot get to pop open. It does feel like there's something in here. It's either paperwork or money. But whenever we open that Sentry safe at my brother-in-law's, we'll crack open into this, so you'll want to make sure to stick around to see what's inside of here. Like I pointed out earlier, here's a nice shop vac. These I usually can get like $25 to $40 for. All right, and here is the guitar case. It does say that this case was made in Canada. We do have a guitar in here, and it looks like it's actually in pretty good shape. This is an older Yamaha G60A model. It is missing a couple strings on here. There's only 4 strings, but it's a pretty cool designed Yamaha. That should be able to clean up really nice. I don't think this is terribly expensive, but maybe I can get like $50 to $75 for this one. But I will say, just in the 3 guitars alone, I should be able to make about half of my money back, I would assume. This is a Crane pull-up bar. These like door hang pull-up bars are always so rickety. Shout out to Tony Horton, P90X. You better believe I was fighting off childhood obesity with crunchy frogs, plyometrics, and so much more that P90X had to offer. That being said, I got one of these P90X pull-up bars and literally almost brought the whole door frame down that I did it on, literally on my first rep. So my P90X pull-up bar was very short-lived. That being said, I do not recommend. These are just not a great way to do pull-ups, especially if you're teetering on the max load limit of them. That's just Rad to Riches tip of the day. Take that however you will, but this thing is just trash right here. Hiding behind this dresser over here was a nice folding camp cot, Walmart's brand Ozark Trail. This kind of stuff resells really well. I should be able to get like 20 to 25 bucks for this. That's a great find. This looks like it's barely been used really. Very nice gas powered weed eater right here. Should be able to get like 30 to 40 bucks for it. Front wheel drive axle lock nut socket set. I have no idea what this would go for on the secondary market. If I'm guessing, I should be able to get like 20 to 25 bucks for that. Alrighty, let's see what's inside of this case real quick. There's definitely something in here. It's actually kind of heavy. Let's see here. Inner tire rod removal set. Is that like for an 18-wheeler? Interesting. I have no idea what that could go for. Stuff like this usually resells really well. Typically on stuff like this, you can get like 50% of retail usually, because this kind of stuff usually doesn't go on that crazy of sales. A lot of people out there need stuff like this. We got a 20 movie pack right here. It's like Gulliver's Travel, Coach of the Year, Shirley Temple, and just a bunch of other classics. I wouldn't actually be surprised if that's not worth reselling right there with that many classics on there. Red Dead Redemption 2, great video game. That's not gonna be worth a ton. That'll be like $5 to $10 right there. Fallout 4 on PC. Let me check, see if that's in there. Yep, that's in there, nice. Once again, not gonna be worth a ton though. I typically sell all DVDs and video games as a lot together. And usually I get anywhere from like $3 to $5 per video game. And then for the DVDs, I usually only get about $1 a piece. But I will say everything adds up. That's pretty cool. It's a nice canvas printed Westminster Abbey in Big Ben. They're in London. This isn't gonna be worth a fortune, but I should be able to get like $10 for that. Oh, this is kind of cool. Does look like it has maybe a tad bit of water damage, but that is really cool. That actually appears to be a real painting of Grand Central Station in 1930. This frame has definitely seen its better days, but that is pretty sweet. All right, here's that Dormeyer handsaw. If I were guessing, I should be able to get all of $15 there on that price tag. I don't know if this Minolta camera is going to be worth a whole lot, but I will say some of these older cameras can be worth a lot of money. Some sort of guitar, like hidden case of some sort. I guess you could hide your favorite picks or whatever else musicians do inside of there. Here's a wireless PS4 controller, nice. I think that's it for that bag. Here's kind of a weird lamp. I will say I'm not huge into reselling lamps. They just typically don't do very well unless they're super high end. And they just take up a lot of space and are typically pretty fragile. But that one's pretty cool and pretty durable. It's like a little monkey going on vacation or something. But that is a pretty nice lamp right there that I'll definitely try to resell. Here's a nice organizer of like screws and bolts and other stuff. I'll just sell this all as one unit. If I was guessing, I should be able to get like 15 to 20 bucks for that. Here's a partially unused Lego set, or a unused Lego set with another set inside. Lego stuff usually does pretty well overall. It looks like a bunch of PlayStation games and old movies. Aristocrats, one of the all-time greats. Can I be completely honest? I thought I was gonna love Paul Blart Mall Cop. Let's just say a 9th grade me was less than impressed whenever I saw that in the theaters for the first time. There's a couple of PlayStation Star Wars games. Interesting array of movies. Santa Claus, London Has Fallen, not a bad movie. Veggie Tales, the sing-alongs. I wonder if Cheeseburger's in there. You're my cheeseburger, my lovely cheeseburger. I'll wait for you. Ooh. A Veggie Tales classic. Probably my favorite Veggie Tales song as well, but that'll add to my lot of DVDs and PlayStation games that I'll be reselling as 2 separate lots. Right, here's a container of, I guess mostly books. Some of these kind of look old though. What is this? Probably won't show that book on camera. I guess where that one shows. There's some DVDs. The Hobbit, 10,000 DC. A couple more DVDs to add to the lot of DVDs from this unit. There's a movie collection of Don Knotts, vintage comic book digest magazine. Here is an all-time great, Reverend Charles Spurgeon. That was really cool. That's the Daily Help. Here's some more CDs. There's Leanne Rimes. Another one of these comic digests. Office Space special edition with Flair. All right, Peter. A lot of really old books in here. More CDs. George Strait. Easily top 5 country artist of all time. Cowboys like us sure do have fun. Chasing the wind, chasing the sun. All right, that box was just full of a bunch of media. There was, I believe, 4 DVDs, a stack full of CDs, and then a bunch of really old books. And then there was this Nintendo Switch dock stand sitting on top of that box. That definitely will be resellable. Here's our old Red Ryder BB gun. Those are always resellable and super collectible. I don't know if this is quite old enough to be vintage, but this will definitely get me 20 or 30 bucks. Let's see what else we got in here. There we go. That's a corded Xbox controller. I haven't seen a corded Xbox controller in quite some time. We have some fireworks in here. I'm pretty sure those are a big no-no for these storage units, but I don't know if y'all got fireworks for the 4th of July this year. Boy, have they gone up. These 12 artillery shells are not worth 36 bucks anymore. My brother-in-law usually purchases the fireworks and we just all chip in some money after he buys them. And he went to a new stand this year inside of the city limits and he spent about $500 on a bunch of fountains. And so for about an hour and a half, we were just sitting there watching these like very underwhelming firework fountains. It was pretty funny. Speaking of the 4th of July, I'm not gonna lie, easily my favorite war movie of all time, but maybe a top 10 movie of all time for me. The Patriot, an all-time classic. What a great movie. I'd have to say Mel Gibson's best work. It's just a terrific watch. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it before. So the PS5, a dual charging station right there. Interesting little set of pliers right there. There's some individual tools I'm digging out of here, but that appears to be it on this box. Let's see what's in this backpack here. Take off my gloves for a sec. Nothing in there. We got some shades. There's some Ray-Bans right there. Those will usually make like 20 to 25 bucks right there. That's a cool lighter right there. A couple Zippo lighters. What do we have inside of here? Oh, what is all in here? Uh-oh. We got some possibly exciting stuff in here. No way. These are not cheap right here. I will say I don't think this is crazy now. I'll have to do a little more research on this specific model, but that is a great find. I think this should cover about half the unit right here. What is in this base? It may be more valuable than the camera itself, or these lenses. This is an image stabilizing lens. What kind of lens is on this other side? Whoa, now that is a lens. That's crazy. That thing is heavy duty to say the least. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's more valuable than the camera right here. I'm not 100% sure. That is a serious zoom lens right there. A pocket knife maybe? There we go. Very nice case pocket knife with this leather folding pouch. This is cool. In the last couple of units, we have found some really cool pocket knives. That looks like a custom homemade knife right there. I don't see any branding on it, but that is really cool. Here's a very nice dot satin cowhide wallet. Kind of a cool switchblade type thing. More and more weapons. Nice little hatchet. These are all going to be very resellable. Here's another pocket knife. That one's a titanium knife. We are going to more than make our money back just in these pocket knives alone. It's a Schrade knife. That one's super nice. There's another one of those little mini knives. Who's the superhero in Daredevil, the lady? I feel like that's something she would carry around, whatever her name is. Here's a couple more right here. Kind of a weird one. There's a tomahawk pocket knife right there. That one has definitely seen its better days, but definitely will be resellable. I'm kind of assuming that one's fancier than it is collectible. I'm not 100% sure though on that one. We still have several in here. Here's a Swiss Army. Then there's a bear hunter pocket knife. That's kind of cool. Here's a wrist knife. So if you're like emo and still like to fight off bad guys, you could rock this bad boy and just go have it on. And then you're ready to fight off the littlest of bad guys. That one's an American pocket knife. Those are fairly resellable. Those usually like 35 to 40 bucks. And a couple others. These other three I believe are going to be on the cheaper end, but really nice. There's probably 15 pocket knives with the average value. I would put it probably 25 bucks a pop. So right there we have more than made our money back plus a nice profit on this unit. So that is a huge score right there. All right, since I found so many pocket knives in this storage unit, I decided I wanted to go ahead and do a giveaway of pocket knives. So I'll be giving away 2 of the pocket knives in this video. How to enter to win one of those 2 pocket knives. First, like this video. Second, subscribe to my channel. And third, comment below your favorite collector's item of all time. Good luck on this giveaway, and let's get back to the storage unit. I just took out all of those books out of this box and left in some of the cooler stuff that I found in here. Here's a Super Mario lunchbox with easily my 2 favorite characters in the whole Mario universe, Yoshi and Toad. That still has the TJ Maxx tags on it. That probably should be worth like $5 since it's brand new. Here's a 500-piece puzzle of the game Among Us. That's still sealed in the wrapper. Probably can get like $5 for that as well. I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I believe that is Kylo Ren. And of course, by far the best bad guy in all of Star Wars, Darth Vader. Unfortunately, his infamous red lightsaber is missing the end of it, but there is that. There's another Darth Vader, and then not exactly sure what kind of stormtrooper that other guy is, but there was 4 of those. A bunch of like random toys that are still sealed. There's Ghost Henchman, Fortnite. It's like some sort of Funko Pop type thing. The Hangeries, whatever that is. Here is the VHS Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars A New Hope. Since those are super collectible, I'm assuming I should be able to resell those. I don't know what the market is for Star Wars VHSs though. Here's a Pocket Pop of Fortnite, that's Raptor. And then there's just a few other items in here, but nothing too crazy in that box. And one thing that I found in these units that is super resellable and sought after is Legos. Even if they're loose like this, if you just sell them as a whole box, They will resell really well, either on Facebook Marketplace or at auction. I'll probably just end up selling these at auction. I think most of this is just random pieces, but occasionally some of these little guys can be worth a crazy amount of money. I'm not sure about that one in particular, but I will look up some of these guys that are in here to see if they're worth anything, and if they are, I will let y'all know. Is that one from the Lego movie, I think? But I'm assuming I should be able to get like 25 bucks for that container. And then here's a Barska. Is that like a telescope or something? Kind of what that looks like. I have not heard of that before, but I'm assuming that's some sort of like telescope. All right, and there's a couple more Funko Pops down there from Back to the Future. I think that one may be a duplicate that we saw earlier. That's a cool Thomas the Train piggy bank right there. Some nice looking gaming headphones. And then in this bag, there's Grand Theft Auto 5. That looks like some sort of special edition. And then just a bunch of tools in there. We probably have a couple $100 worth of tools in this unit alone, I would assume. This has been one of the better tool units that we've had here on the channel. Ooh, and we may have a big score back here in this box. Let me pull this box out and put it on this dresser so we can go through that. Then there was some sort of instrument bag behind the school desk over here. So we'll go through that next. I'm not exactly sure what's inside of there, but let's take a look at what's inside of this box first. I've genuinely been shocked for how many packs of cigarettes I've found in here that have been empty. Really doesn't smell that bad in here. There's my PS4. I should be able to get like 50 bucks for this, I would assume. And there's a fairly old iPad. Apple products are super hard to resell. If anyone does have a good strategy on any Apple products, please let me know, because they have been very difficult for me to sell. I don't know if there is any strategies on how to sell them, but I've definitely had a difficult time doing so. But there's a Wii that should be worth like 35 bucks. It appears like all the power cords for these gaming consoles are in that little plastic container over there. Is that the original iPod Touch, I believe? That is really cool. If I could somehow get that to work, I do believe that could have some resale value. Ooh, here's something Apple that you may could resell. There's a Apple mouse right there. I do apologize, it is so hot, I'm dripping sweat. But there are a ton of games in here. A Wii remote right there. Some hard drives. I don't know what all these hard drives we're doing in here. It kind of makes me a little concerned, honestly. Unless you have a hobby of taking apart computers and building computers. Not exactly sure what all these hard drives are used for, but honestly, who knows? These are kind of cool. A voltage detector, but really nothing too crazy in here outside of those two consoles. But let's go ahead and go through that music bag, and then let's head back to my brother-in-law's place to open up that safe and briefcase. What is that? Is that like a xylophone? Is that a snare drum, it looks like? I am not that musical, to be completely honest, but that does appear to be a pretty nice snare drum right there. That may be one of the nicer pieces we've had in this entire unit. That being said, this one was a ton of fun, and boy was it hot out today. But now it's time to load up my car and see what's inside that briefcase in the safe. So I will see you there in just 1 second. All right, we finally made it to my brother-in-law's house to get these safes open, or I guess this safe, in that briefcase right behind me. We're gonna try one method we saw on YouTube first, the rocking method. Hopefully we can get it open that way. If not, I think we're gonna have to pry this thing open. So let's see if this works. I think I just broke the handle.
Go more rocking forward to where its weight is on the front corner.
Okay.
Because you're gonna allow that. There you go, you got it!
That was way too easy. Not a whole lot, I don't think. Boy, these safes are really, really disappointing. Some readers, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to take you to Dave & Buster's, Brandon. You've gotta be kidding me. And not even any Pez in there. It's some sort of sick joke. It's kind of gross, but who would keep all this stuff in here? This may be the last unit I bid on because I see a safe in there. There is a dime, a total of 15 cents, and the Mickey Mouse Pez dispenser. So hopefully there's something in that briefcase. I'm so glad we didn't have to spend that long to get that open. All right. Let's see here. I think we struck out on this one as well. And that does it for this storage unit video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Stay radical.